Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's Pyromancer here, and welcome back to my channel. Hope you're having a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are in the world. And today I want to talk to you guys about Sylvanas Windrunner, because I made a video about a month ago. Guess that's when my last video probably was, about a month ago. Sorry about that. Where I discussed how I thought Sylvanas Windrunner was intentionally doing things that were bringing the Horde and even members of the Alliance together in order to make them stronger. This is based on a very simple premise, and it is outlined with the very first line of dialogue from the very first cinematic of Battle for Azeroth, the Battle for Lordaeron, where Sylvanas says, "Ours is a cycle of hatred, alliances forged and broken. We have paid the price for sharing this world, and we have forgotten what makes us strong." And I then referenced a very important lesson that you were supposed to learn from Tong the Fixer, a panda from Pandaria. Yeah, I know, the meme expansion, right? Because apparently no one saw pandas coming, and they definitely weren't in established lore previously. But I digress. Where he's basically trying to teach Rathian that his rage at Varian Rin for not dismantling the Horde is misplaced, because, you see, Rathian doesn't understand that the Horde and the Alliance are strong because of one another, not in spite of one another, not despite one another. It is because of our quarrels that we have become stronger. And if the wars that we have had did not happen, then we would stagnate and we would not become more powerful. This is a very simple premise, and I believe that it's something that Sylvanas Windrunner understands. Now, yes, it does mean that Sylvanas Windrunner is playing like 17 million D chess, but you know what? Sylvanas Windrunner's pretty cunning, calculated, and clever generally, and when you put Azerite in her hands, God only knows what that woman can do when she snorts a little bit of that up her fucking nasal cavity and starts coming up with tactical plans. You understand what I'm saying? Especially when it's becoming ever more evident that she seems to be serving N'Zoth. Now, that's a different discussion, and we are going to talk about what I think she's doing with N'Zoth, but I was doing the Horde, finishing up the Horde War campaign last night, where you go and you rescue Baine, and there were several huge things that I noticed. I want to throw this out there that, you know, I have been ratting on Saurfang the entire time. I told on him in the Swamp of Sorrows, I told on Baine with what we did with Zelling, in Derek Proudmoore, I ratted on everything, and this was no different. So when I found out that we were going to go find Baine, I went and told Nathanos, my favorite guy, and as I approached him, as he usually says, "What do you want?" I told him, Nathanos, they're going to try to go save Baine Bloodhoof. And Nathanos says, "Play along. That's fine. Just play along. We can't afford to lose an asset as valuable as you, champion." Oh, great. Thanks for the recognition there, Nathanos. There's a couple huge things here, you guys. One, if Sylvanas Windrunner wanted someone dead, like Baine Bloodhoof, why the fuck isn't he dead? Sylvanas is not that kind of character. We've seen her act very impulsively before. Why isn't Baine already dead? Oh, here's the answer. It's because she doesn't want him dead. Here's the key to this. Sylvanas has been basically playing cards in such a perfect fucking manner as to literally bring people like Thrall back into this. And now, what has happened is using Baine as a pawn, knowing, because I even told Nathanos that we would be coming, knowing that the Horde champions, Thrall and Saurfang, were going to come and save him. And according to Nathanos, and I believe even the Blood Elf that we fight in there, Sylvanas also knew that Jaina Proudmoore was coming to save him as well. Sylvanas knew that there were several very powerful heroes that had banded together, including us, that were going to come and try to rescue Baine. So we show up and we save Baine. I find it interesting that the wards that were being used to try to keep us from leaving Baine's room were arcane, and if Sylvanas really did know that Jaina was with us, it's kind of an interesting tactic to try to use arcane to stop one of the most powerful arcane wielders on the planet. Don't you guys think? It's a bit odd. Yeah. According to the Horde character who has the vision, you talk to Lorthamar Theron, and he tells you to talk to the Tauren there. I can't remember the guy's name. But when you first arrive at Nazjatar, that same Tauren is basically, he says to you, my dreams are troubled here. Now, I don't know exactly how these Tauren shaman or whatever the fuck he is really have these visions where they commune with the spirits. But I have to wonder how flawed they are, because in the vision, he basically says, I see Baine, he's surrounded by enemies and all this stuff, and Sylvanas comes in and speaks but a word and he dies. And this will happen exactly 1 day from now. This will happen tomorrow, essentially. So we basically get jebaited into going. But I just think it's so hilarious, because I think it's just becoming ever more clear that Sylvanas didn't want Baine Bloodhoof dead. She didn't. That's not been the plan ever. She wanted us, specifically Thrall and Jaina, to band together to go and save him. Because what happens after that? What happens after that? Even during the scenario, Jaina is being the mediator between characters like Thrall and Matthias Shaw, who kind of almost instantaneously kind of start to shit talk one another after you all meet down in that area. And then afterwards, you have Jaina and Thrall essentially making amends with one another. It's happening just like she wanted it to. And here's another thing. She decides to keep Baine Bloodhoof down in an area where pretty much all of the champions who helped rescue him had previously had access to and were familiar with. Just gonna throw that out there. Saurfang was there for the Siege of Orgrimmar. Thrall was there for the Siege of Orgrimmar. Jaina was there for the Siege of Orgrimmar. Almost everyone present that helped to save Baine has previously interacted with that underbelly kind of area that we went in there to save him from. And you know the most fucking hilarious thing, the thing that really kind of proves it and draws it all together, is that Nathanos says, I go back to him after I complete this whole quest line. I go back to Nathanos and I told him what happened. And he says, yeah, not entirely unexpected. Sylvanas essentially, this is paraphrased, but he basically says Sylvanas knew that we were going to escape. Sylvanas had planned for that. And he said, it's really annoying that I have to play along and make it seem like to those heroes that they escaped. But, you know, we just have to play along. What's basically being said here is that Nathanos and Sylvanas were fully aware that the champions that were going to come and try to rescue Baine would come. And they knew that they would get away. Not just that they would show up, but that they would be successful. They knew that. That right there is proof to me that she knew that Baine Bloodhoof was, or that she had never planned that Baine Bloodhoof was going to die. If she did, she would have just had him fucking killed before we got there. Sylvanas is not the kind of character that would pussyfoot around, essentially. She would make sure the job was done. And if Baine Bloodhoof was meant to die, he would be dead. I'll tell you that right now. One other thing that I thought was a really wonderful call out was that Lorthamar Theron and Thalyssra are standing around the fire at the Horde encampment in Nazjatar. And when you go back and you tell Lorthamar that Jaina and Thrall helped to break out Baine, he's kind of surprised at that. And Thalyssra says to him, why are you surprised? This is not new. The Horde and the Alliance banded together to rescue Suramar from the Legion. And Lorthamar has kind of a little revelation. And he basically says to Thalyssra, your counsel is most wise. And he quotes someone where, and I'm going to paraphrase this as well. He basically says, there was a time in the past where someone once said to them, the fighting and the quarrel stops when you both turn around and walk away. And I immediately recognized what was being referenced. At the foot of Lei Shen from the Mists of Pandaria expansion, there's a part where Jaina Proudmoore and a ton of Kirin Tor Magi and Lorthamar Theron and a bunch of Sunreaver Magi show up at the foot of Lei Shen right before where Nalek spawns. And they have a confrontation, and Terran Zoo is there. And Taranzu basically interjects into this quarrel and essentially says, enough! This has to stop. Your senseless acts of violence need to stop. Every time that you act violently with one another, it is reciprocated by another violent act, and you must knock it off. Turn around and walk away. And Lorthamar remembers this. It was a lesson, as mentioned by Lorthamar, that was supposed to be learned. And he finally understood the truth of its meaning. That sometimes the eternal conflict between the two factions, it doesn't make sense, and maybe every once in a while, or maybe permanently at some point, it is meant to end. It's going to have to end. Because while war has made us stronger, and Sylvanas is aware of this, she has in fact orchestrated this. We're being brought together for the greater good once again. And people call it a repetitive trope. People say it's something that's overdone. But what the fuck do you expect? You can't beat armies like the Legion. You can't beat players like Ashara without everyone being part of it. And as Thrall mentions, we've done this so many times and it always falls apart. Just like Sylvanas said, alliances forged and broken. We have paid the price for sharing this world. And we have forgotten what makes us strong. And Thrall begs the question to Jaina, what's different this time? And Jaina says one of the most important and I think accurate things she could have said. We are different. Ha! That's fucking beautiful. That's great. Jaina is a perfect example of someone who's different, whose character progression has come leaps and bounds. I would argue she is probably one of, if not the most well-written character in World of Warcraft. Jaina's a wonderfully written character. Thank you, Christy Golden, for that one. But I digress. Sylvanas is doing it on purpose. She is far too clever and far too beloved a character for Blizzard to do her the way in which people have thought it would be done the entire time. And here's an honest opinion. A lot of the story of WoW, I would honestly go as far as to say almost the majority of the story is not in the game. It's in books like Before the Storm, which most of the player base has not read. It's in books like Chronicle, which most of the player base has not read. It's in short stories and comics and audio dramas that most players don't read because it's extraneous. It's on the side. It's not in your face. And the way that Blizzard has been presenting and representing Sylvanas in the game as of late has been very poorly executed, if you ask me. And only up until Nazjatar, where they're making it blatantly obvious that she's not doing what people think she's trying to do, is it going to start to click with players. And only if they actually, intentionally, and intently read the quest dialogue and the quest text, and they really pay attention. You cannot glide through the questing and still say that you understand what Sylvanas is doing. You're wrong. You're not paying enough attention if that's the case. You have to read the other source material. You have to. It's way too important. It is way too important. And in WoW, it always has been. If you're not reading the books, you don't know as much about the lore as you think that you do. No offense, but that's just the truth. You gotta read the stuff because way too much of it is missing from the game, especially things that give insight to Sylvanas' thought process, her tactical prowess, her literal plan with Saurfang to make the Alliance think that there was a huge issue among the top ranks of the Horde, and for her and Saurfang to literally orchestrate a fight among her, Nathanos, and Saurfang. It was part of their plan, and Baine Bloodhoof seemingly has been a huge portion of that plan as well this entire time. When you start thinking about the progression of this war, none of this happens without Sylvanas. Kultaras and Zandalar do not happen without Sylvanas. A lot of this stuff is very important and necessary to help equip us and prepare us for what is to come. And yeah, people died. A lot of people died. War never changes. So I guess we're going to have to start getting over that pretty soon. Do I agree with the Kaldorei massacre, if that's what we want to call it? No. But most of you also don't know, I would wager, that Sylvanas knew that Elune would intervene on her actions at Teldrassil, and the way in which Elune intervened happened in two manners. She stopped Saurfang from killing Malfurion and Stormrage, and she also numbed the pain of the Night Elves that were dying in the tree. All of them. And Sylvanas had anticipated that something like this would happen. Why is that not illustrated in the game ever? That's a problem on Blizzard's end. Yeah, but that's why you have to read the books, and that's why you have to read the short stories. So, I'm rambling at this point. In the next video, we're going to talk about what Sylvanas is doing with Ashara and N'Zoth. Short form? I don't think N'Zoth likes Ashara that much anymore, and I think Sylvanas is intent on making sure that Ashara doesn't keep N'Zoth imprisoned. So we'll talk about that next time. If you guys don't know, I do have a Twitter, which I would really appreciate you guys following me at. I do tweet a lot of lore stuff, and you guys are really missing out if you're not following me there. It's twitter.com/pyromancersarg. You can also find me on Twitch, where I've been streaming relatively relatively consistently recently, 2 days in a row. So it's like, that's pretty good, right? I'd appreciate that. Twitch.tv/Pyromancer. I am partnered over there. A bunch of emotes if you guys want to come and check that out. Give it a follow and just see if you enjoy yourself over there. I do have an open Discord where we do have some speculation that goes on there. Yeah, that's it, you guys. And then, of course, YouTube. If you guys don't know... Wait, we're on YouTube. Never mind. Thank you guys for watching this video. Click the like button if you enjoyed it, as it is the best way to let me know you enjoy my content, and it's the best way to support me as a content creator. Subscribe if you're new to my channel. I appreciate you once again for watching this. Stay awesome, and until next time, I'll see you guys later. Peace!